The real fake friends to lovers story was Pepe and Iris, and it was so clear. So, against my better judgment, I had time to check out Beyond the Villa season 2 of Love Island. Although I did want to check out episode 1 just to see how they do a show with all of the rejects that nobody care about. But they are trying their best, I guess, because this cast to me really is Amaya and all the rejects from the season. We don't get Nick and Olandria, which is the people from the show, especially Olandria, who is always rubbing elbows with A-list celebrities. And as much as I don't really like them, there's no Ace or Huda, so we don't even have a main antagonist for this season of Beyond the Villa. So they have tried their best to turn Pepe into the main antagonist of the season. And I don't really know if that is working or not. There is something in me that doesn't see Pepe as the big villain that everyone in the group wants to make him out to be. So after the season ended, there was Pepe having these cheating scandals. But at that same time, there was Iris, who was having a meeting with TJ. They dated during the season. She ended the season with Pepe after they were friends. And although Iris and TJ are saying nothing happened during that first meeting, and they didn't get together until after Iris broke up with Pepe because he had a cheating scandal, in Pepe's mind, there was still something going on with Iris and TJ. But here's what I actually think. I think while everyone was bitching and moaning and trying to pretend that Nick and Olandria were not having this friends to lovers story and that it was fake, the real fake friends to lovers story was Pepe and Iris, and it was so clear. It was so clear at the end of season 7 that it was a scam going on. They just developed this relationship at the very end of the season, and people wanted it to be real because they had this obsession with hating on Nick and Olandria and hating on Ace and Shelly. I think Iris and Pepe were a scam the whole time, during the season, after the season, and I think Iris really did like TJ more, and I do think they wanted to be together after the season. And I don't know if Pepe was made out to be the villain because they were going to do this show and they needed a storyline, but that's kind of how I feel with all of that. Bryan is another person who is probably should be a bigger villain, but the cast is treating Pepe like the main villain instead of Bryan. Because Bryan, in this first episode, is still lying about how he did Amaya wrong. He is saying he never cheated on Amaya, even though the show itself is showing video evidence of Bryan being very messy at a club. And this was not the only time Bryan was accused of going out while still supposedly with Amaya and being a bit whorish at a club, okay? But then we have Bryan telling all of these lies that he had a stomach ache so he doesn't have to meet with Amaya, saying that at one point when Hannah went off on Pepe, since Pepe is the main villain, Bryan is acting like he was so scared that Hannah was going to come after him next. I am confused why Bryan is on this show. He's clearly afraid of confrontation, but that is what is going to happen on reality TV shows if the TV show is actually going to work. I think Bryan should be getting way more hell than what Pepe is getting, because the Pepe and Iris situation was fake. It was not a real relationship. I don't really care what anyone says. I think anyone that has critical thinking can see what's going on here. And I don't know if the Pepe cheating scandal was just to have a storyline for the show or not. Maybe he really was cheating. But how can you be cheating on something that wasn't real in the first place? Hannah is getting a lot of slack for her being the one to confront Pepe. And I think that, on one hand, I think that she should be getting the slack. I think that she went hard on Pepe, trying to call him a pussy for not going up to Iris at their get together and, apologizing. But maybe it is Hannah having bad feelings of her own. Hannah is saying she's moved on to a new guy, she's in a new relationship. But Hannah really came off as someone that still feels some kind of way that after she left the show, Pepe moved on with another woman in Iris. That is how Hannah came off to me. And while I feel bad that she's already getting a lot of slack for this season, she knew what she signed up for. They all came on another Love Island adjacent show, knowing that the Love Island fandom is extremely toxic. So it should be no surprise that Hannah is getting some of the bigger slack from this last episode. But I'm glad to see it because I do think that she was super dramatic with Pepe, trying to get in digs on Pepe, but she was able to have a civil conversation with Bryan, who was also getting flack for the way he treated Amaya. Bryan is, maybe it's because Bryan is acting like a scaredy cat. Maybe that demeanor is why people aren't coming for him like they are trying to come for Pepe. But if I continue to watch, we will see how it plays out, I suppose. I'm going to try and muster up enough care to continue the season. But anyone that watches my reviews know I will drop a show if I'm not feeling it. So it's very much possible because these are all the rejects. Like when Grayson came on my TV screen, I was like, who in the blue hell is this? I was kind of glad to see Bella, though. Even though she's trying to be peacemaker, I always did like Bella on the show for the most part. Even though her storyline made her boring, and even though she's still boring, it's good to see that first boot Bella can get some airtime. The other couple we have to touch upon is Taylor and Clarke. I hated on Taylor a lot during season 7, and I continue to feel so good in that decision making. Because Taylor still sucks. And Clarke, honestly, ain't much better. Like, they are a big example of the loser mentality that a lot of this cast has. And it's why I scratch my head wondering how they're making a show with this cast in the first place. But, here I am trying to watch it. I mean, I am just doing it because it's content for me. But nonetheless, here I am still watching it. But Taylor is injured with his horse incident at this point when the horse rolled over and he got hurt. I talked about that on this channel when it happened. We're getting a storyline, though, where Clarke wants to move to LA because there's more career opportunities for her. But, of course, Taylor wants her to stay in Oklahoma and be a country girl. And to me, you can see that Clarke does really want to move to LA, that she does really think it's a good idea. But here she is already trying to take care of an injured Taylor, feels bad that she would leave him at this time. But I think as we see in real life, she is still trying to be that country girl with Taylor. And maybe to give it the benefit of the doubt, it's real love. Maybe this is real love between Clarke and Taylor. But I have yet to see on Love Island, the regular show, on social media, on this show so far, I have not seen Taylor actually be a legitimate good boyfriend to Clarke. We've seen so many times on lives where he's being an asshole to her. The times he pushed her head down, makes remarks about her. Maybe it is the way they joke. But the way it comes across is that Clarke cares so much for him, that Clarke is taking such good care of him. And Taylor doesn't have that same kind of care for her. Yeah, I've seen posts where he buys her things, okay? And maybe that's all Clarke needs. Maybe her love language is getting gifts. Maybe that is what it is. Gift giving, whatever that love language is. Maybe that is why Clarke is able to stay in this relationship. But until I see Taylor actually be a boyfriend that truly seems to care about Clarke, I'm going to continue to have my same opinion that Taylor sucks ass and that Clarke isn't the brightest bulb to be staying with him, giving up opportunities for a relationship that she might get stuck in and might not like. At least the way the show is showing us right now, at least with the edit, Clarke really does seem like she would rather move to LA and try there than continue to be a country girl. But it could just be the edit. You never know with these shows, but that's how I feel. And if I'm going to give my review on this not so good cast, then I'm, as my usual self, going to be raw about my true feelings about what is going on. So we'll see if I continue to watch, if I have another update, because I already have an episode 2. If I do get to episode 2, it won't be until later this weekend.